Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors, the place where we not only talk about what's going on in the gun world, our beautiful country, and how we're going to fix this bad boy together. Guys, this is the video you've been waiting for. All the leaks, all the conversations, all the allegations are about to be laid bare on the floor from the individual company inside the 2A that is rumored to be lobbying to have the suppressors still behind the NFA, which effectively scuttled the move in the Ways and Means Committee, which we've been documenting so far. I'm going to show you everything in the receipts. I'm going to show you all the concerning stuff from lobbying reports all the way to introduction and timing to history and other things that are tied together. And you guys can be the judge on this, but I can tell you, in my personal opinion, I'm concerned. Now, what I can show you is linked in the description box below. Guys, please make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on, because we wouldn't even have gotten wind of this if you guys didn't support us. This is all because of the power you guys have. So please make sure the YouTube censorship algorithm does not water down that power, and make sure you have that subscription active. All right, and send this out and let me know what you think in the comments. Let's dive in. It's time. So, about a week ago, I did a video that was shooting a warning shot across the bow of any 2A company that I was hearing was trying to scuttle our efforts, which ended up actually happening. I'm going to walk you through this entire thing because if this is true, and I'm going to say it, this is based off of a lot of very direct observations and concerns. You can tell me what you think in the comments. Let's get into this. AmmoLand has dropped a video. We Like Shooting on the podcast has dropped it. Everyone is dropping it. It's coming out like a sieve. Editor's note, and this is important. After publication preparation, Silencer Central contacted AmmoLand News to clarify its position, and I want you to listen to the clarification of the position of while they're getting in front of this. CEO Brandon Maddox stated, quote, "We have always been vocal supporters of the HPA, as well as the current proposed provision of a $0 tax stamp. Our priority has always been advocating for deregulation and Second Amendment rights." So, didn't say they haven't lobbied in here and they haven't done any type of lobbying effort. It completely obfuscated that, and they went with the cookie cutter brand message of, we love you guys. Okay, let me show you a few things. Rumors have been swirling in the firearms community about a company lobbying Congress to keep silencers under the National Firearms Act. The lobbying disclosures show Silencer Central advocated for suppressor tax stamp conservation legislation in 2024, prompting speculation about their stance on the NFA deregulation. And I'm going to show you all of that. This is really important because the language that I'm about to read to you correlates directly with David Kustoff, the representative who happened to all of a sudden balk on the idea that suppressors should be removed from the NFA, and the language sounds very familiar. All right, let's get into it. Silencer Central's business model is to ship suppressors directly to the buyer's front door. This option is available for NFA items, but not for the Gun Control Act of 1968 items. So effectively, NFA you can do, but normal gun purchases you can't. You start to see the problem? They also make banished line suppressors. If suppressors were removed from the NFA, they would likely be reclassified under a normal Gun Control Act item, which does not allow direct consumer shipping for such items. This would impact Silencer Central's current business model, which is built around direct home delivery in 42 states. There's your cause right there. If these allegations turn out to be completely 100% factually true, which I will show you the evidence and play devil's advocate in a second, that's a problem. All right. Quote, these are the act. This is a statement from a 2024 interview with Brandon Maddox, CEO of Silencer Central. Again, all of these things are just stacking in one area. Quote, "We are both a dealer and we are also manufacturers," Maddox said. "We have a line of products that are some of the best selling in the nation. People may not realize this because people do not have access to them because we sell direct. We could sell a whole lot more if they became non-NFA items," which is a normal statement until the follow-up right here. "I think where we differ from some people is we feel there could be some sort of crawl, walk, run," Maddox continued. Does this sound familiar? It's exactly what happened with David Kustoff in Tennessee. "Some people are really focused on HPA, HPA, HPA. To me, it is obvious Biden is not going to sign that. I get trying to create some momentum for that. What we have been looking for is, are there some key wins we can get for the silencers that would help us gradually get closer to getting approved for the Hearing Protection Act instead of focusing solely on that? The gradual movement they're describing happens to align and correlate with what just happened with David Kustoff in the Ways and Means Committee, because all of a sudden the incremental approach to destroying the all evil NFA sure does align with that statement. All right, now I'm going to bring you some lobbying reports, because again, guys, we don't play in this industry. Like when we are trying to push forward with something, and I know you guys are aligned to this, we need to be on the same page, which is why this is coming out from multiple sources. All right, we got AmmoLand, We Like Shooting. I think Jared just did a video on this, more to come, myself. Like, we need to talk about this. All right, here's the first lobbying report, and this is really important where we tie all of this together, so bear with me on it. Silencer Central is on this lobbying report. $50,000 was issued for a lobbying effort, and the specific reason was develop and support suppressor tax stamp conservation legislation. Now, if that is completely true, that can be one of two things. That can be supporting suppressor tax stamp conservation, which means conserving the existing tax stamp litigation or legislation, or it could mean something with conservation, which they have a past of tying together in the natural resources space. Both of those are completely possible. I'm going to walk you through both of them. Now, this came out on 1/14/2025, and this is where it's really important. 1/14/2025 is one day before the Hearing Protection Act was dropped, H.R. 404, of which you've been talking so much about. So if you're following at home, introduced on 1/15, 1/14 the day before, $50,000 in lobbying efforts was launched. 2024 statement was incremental, not the whole thing, and the end result was incremental, not the whole thing. That's a damning coincidence, and I think you guys are reading me, but it gets a little deeper. Let's dive into these lobbying reports. Again, same thing. This is the second one. This is from Silencer Central. Now, this is interesting because this one was less than $5,000. Regulation of suppressor purchases, Hearing Protection Act. That's hard to wiggle out of. Regulation of suppressor purchases, Hearing Protection Act. Now, this one was dropped on 4/12/2025, so 3 months later. So why would you have the language of regulation of suppressor purchases on your lobbying forms, along with another one that says hunting and recreational shooting access on public lands? And this is where it all starts to tie together, because the natural defense here is going to be, well, we were going for conservation. You see the language here? Suppressor tax stamp conservation. Okay, well, see right here, hunting and recreational shooting access on public lands. Again, this will all tie together right now. Tied in with regulation of suppressor purchases, Hearing Protection Act. Well, if you look at what they've done in the past, which is their client profile for Silencer Central, they have something called HR 6352. And again, I'm going to present this as best as I possibly can. This is a bill that was introduced in the last last Congress, Tax Stamp Revenue Transfer for Wildlife Recreation Act. Well, if you look right down here, this is a very key important distinction, especially when you tie everything together. This bill transfers a portion of the excise tax for transferring a firearm suppressor and allocates tax revenues to support wildlife conservation and recreational activities. So, the taxes are still in place from the suppressor, but we're going to reallocate them. Okay, hold on. And expedite the process of suppressor application by the ATF. Expedite the process, not abolish the process. Now, devil's advocate, some people could say that this is an amazing step because we're never going to get the Hearing Protection Act. So why shoot the cute little puppy that I mentioned if they're just going to kill it? Why not focus on expediting the process of the tax regulation that we're under, and then taking the money from those taxes generated out of your pocket for suppressor sales because of NFA, and then allocate it towards wildlife conservation? Now, the problem here is when you start to see all of these individual things lining up, it starts to align with what the outcome was, which is what you guys were all outraged of from David Kustoff. You see where I'm going with this? All right. Now let me show you the third lobbying disclosure, because this one happened 2 days later. As you can see, I'm going to zoom in here. 2 days later, 4/14, the one for suppressing regulation of good Lord, I'm just going to read it to you because I can't read apparently. Regulation of suppressor purchases in the Hearing Protection Act. That was on 4/12. This is 4/14, $50,000 more to support protection of firearm noise reduction commerce. This is where all of this ties together. Protection of firearm noise reduction commerce could mean one of two things. It could mean that they want to keep the revenue from a business model, or it could mean keep the tax stamp in place for the noise reduction commerce, because tax is commerce, and production and buying things is commerce from the population. So again, I would like to reiterate, I was never in the room, but when I look at all of these individual things, I have some very serious concerns. Now, those are the lobbying efforts, those are the lobbying reports. That's so far, we're at $105,000 in this year alone, of which they have previously spent $280,000 in 2024. So they're big spenders. The allegation comes in of what they are actually saying and what the money is to go for. Now, here's the broad-based wrap-up version of this for me. You have AmmoLand dropping an article on it with multiple sources. You have me, multiple sources. You have, I believe, a few other creators have dropped multiple sources. Then you have these lobbying reports, again, $50,000 for developing and supporting suppressor tax stamp conservation. Then you have $5,000 for regulation of suppressor purchases, the Hearing Protection Act. Then you have support of protection of firearm noise reduction commerce, all pointing right the day before the Hearing Protection Act dropped, and the previous efforts in the end of 2024 was to not get rid of the tax generated from the from the NFA, just to reallocate it. Now, I would like to reiterate, reallocation is a good thing if you have nothing more that you can get. Reallocation and taking money away from those excise taxes and allocating towards our nation, like from the conservation of hunting lands, is great. But when you're in a very different position, you have the House, you have the Ways and Means Committee, you have the Senate, you have Reconciliation, and you have the White House, and you have the population paying attention and driving for it, the time is not to go for what you've done prior, which looks very possible. The time is to abandon this and grind, not, as I am quoting here from the AmmoLand article, not are there some key wins we can get for the silencers that would help us gradually get closer to getting approved for the Hearing Protection Act instead of focusing on the Hearing Protection Act. My point is, this is a very serious time, and all of these little pieces of smoke are pointing in a very specific direction. You guys can let me know what you think. I hope that they come out and they are the most full-throated supporter across the board. I haven't seen them sign on to any GOA letter. I haven't seen them sign on or express their support of the Hearing Protection Act. I've seen none of that. And if it turns out that a best-case scenario is really they were the White Hats behind the scene, I will absolutely clarify the record. But for where we are right this second, it looks concerning. And you guys can be the judge. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.